Well, Dusty, this is a special episode.
Sure is.
Do you know why? Do you keep track?
I do. I know that it's somewhere around the 90th or 100th. No, it's our 50th
This
episode.
is our 50th episode.
Yeah.
And when
My age.
Yes, you have a great memory for stories and truth. But when we started this out, we didn't know what we were doing.
No, we didn't.
That part hasn't changed.
For the most part.
But if you had told me back then that we'd be 50 episodes in, and the following and the people that have started to respond to this, it's pretty amazing.
Well, it's been so cool to see the guests that have come up, people that you and I have admired and talked with and been friends with. And I'm thrilled about today because we have a dear friend she likes me better, I think, than you. But you have the longer relationship and friendship with her. But I am a huge fan of hers. And she knows that because,
how about if I introduce our guest?
I think that would be absolutely great.
Our special guest today on our 50th anniversary, or our 50th episode, in the first time in what we think will be our permanent location for these podcasts. We're pretty excited about that. And we have a special guest named Allison Speer.
Yes. Yay! Yay!
It used to be Allison Durham Speer.
Yes.
Yep.
And at some point, we'll get into that because I'm curious at what point you knew it was time to drop the Durham. And we had a few episodes back, we interviewed Brian Speer.
We did.
And I was a little nervous.
I was a lot nervous after hearing the two of you talk, but I would love to have a more in-depth with him.
Probably not going to happen. But there were so many stories that Brian and I, it wasn't a matter of could we fill the time with stories. It was, let's not tell that one. Can't tell that one. Don't tell that one.
There was several stories that were some of my really. I thought, okay, I'm gonna remember these stories. There were some good ones that y'all told.
There were, and today I'm not near as nervous because we're interviewing Brian's wife, Allison, and when we first talked, we talked about. I think you may have said, should we do one interview with both of you?
Yeah.
And it was like, no. Your career has been so amazing, separate of Brian. And Brian's story was about his family. And I just felt like this is two different. So we're thrilled that you're here.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. It's
one of the greatest talent. I mean, I know, I can't say she's my favorite, but she knows how much I love her.
Why isn't she your favorite?
Because you always tell me everybody's my favorite. Well, I just want to say that.
So you just picked one and
but I do love.
Starting today, this is not my favorite.
I've always been a huge fan of hers.
Yes.
I can remember where I first bought her record. I can remember what the name of the promotion was. I don't know if I remember the first time I met her, but I do remember we had a really good connection. It may have been at one of the Steve Hurst School. If you ever did not, is it Steve
Hurst?
Was that his name?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I can't believe that. Maybe at one of over at the Nazarene College there.
Oh,
did you ever?
That was probably Stamps Baxter School.
Okay, that's what it was. I'm sorry. So I'm old. Yeah, I just remember it might have been at one of those that I saw first met you. But I've always been a huge Allison Durham Speer fan, and just always loved her and her heart and what an incredible talent. Probably one of the most underrated female singers, I think, in our industry.
Yeah.
And I mean that to this day.
And one of the best communicators.
One of the absolute best communicators.
So, Allison, there's no pressure today.
Okay.
The way she tells a story, the way she sings a song. I've seen her so many times when we've taped Gaither videos, and we're just watching her and her love for people.
Yes.
And her love for Brian.
Yes. One you understand, one's still a mystery.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to our table.
You. It's good to be here. I'm scared to death.
And she's so beautiful and classy. Just, I mean, this is pretty.
I wore a button-up shirt. I was pretty proud of myself.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. So she walked in today over where we were sitting at, and we were talking, and I thought, she's just pure class.
Yeah.
Just class.
Lord.
Just
well,
class.
That's very kind of you.
So anyway.
So you are in Nashville. You don't live here. You live in Gravel Switch, Kentucky.
Yes.
Correct?
I do.
Which is
Is that close to Walnut Grove, Kentucky?
It's close to
it's not
Hooterville.
too far.
You remember Green Acres?
I do remember.
Walnut is
Hooterville.
where Dottie was from.
That's right.
Yes.
But is it gravel or what's it
Gravel.
called? How many minutes?
So we made it 13 minutes before we heard Dottie Rambo's name. So
I
that's,
mean,
we're making
when you
progress.
think about gravel or switch, gravel switch, Walnut Grove. That's pretty
So
funny.
tell us
Yeah.
about the last 24 hours. You did something pretty exciting yesterday that when I heard about it, I was thrilled. Give us the backstory, your connection to it, as well as Brian's.
Well, Brian heard about the new Gospel Music Association Hall of Fame that they're putting together downtown, real close to the Ryman.
Yeah.
And he submitted Mom Speer's accordion, which is a gorgeous Italian white, beautiful white and gold instrument, and also Brock Speer's. What is that?
A resonator.
A resonator guitar for that display for the Speer family to be in there, and I think they were really thrilled to get those instruments because they're really special. The new GMA Hall of Fame is going to be a priceless visit.
Yeah.
And that opens
October 3rd.
Okay.
They'll have some
pretty
soft
soon.
openings throughout the next couple of months, but October 3rd is when it's open to the public. It was so funny because I didn't even know that you guys were doing this. But I'm on that committee, and we had talked about the Speers a couple of months ago and some different other artists from that generation. And so I was at a Dove Awards thing this week, and somebody came up to me and they said, guess what we're getting? Guess what we're getting? I said, what? They said, well, Brian and Allison are bringing down. And I thought, okay, this is really cool.
Yeah.
This is going to be really neat.
So for some context, how many of the Speer family are in the Gospel Music Hall of Fame?
I think
3.
all of them 4. Yeah. The GMA Hall of Fame.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Dad Speer,
Yep.
Mom Speer,
Yep.
Brock Speer,
And
Ben Speer.
yeah.
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 So-
that's pretty
And
neat.
then the Spears as a whole, I think, are there too, if I remember
Okay,
right.
yeah.
I think, that's
So
what I remember.
for the people that grew up in Southern Gospel, the Speer family is just, you couldn't have followed that at all without being a fan and an awareness of them. But then there were some epic pictures back in the day of the Speers. If you look up Speer history, and there's even a website we'll talk about later where they can see some of that. But those instruments are in those pictures.
Yeah. That I just love that.
the
I love
resonator guitar is 95 years old.
Right.
Wow.
Brock got it when he was 5 years old.
Oh my goodness.
And so,
wow.
just
10
another
years
side
old.
piece of that is last night I was out at a concert and ran into George Gruen, who anybody that follows guitars knows he's the guy that, that's the name you trust for what a guitar is worth.
Yep.
So I showed him the picture of what you guys were donating. And I didn't even have to blow the picture up, and he said, "Oh, that's almost 100 years old. Do you know how valuable that is?" And it was like it doesn't matter because you guys wouldn't have sold it,
Right.
But the fact that you're willing to make that accessible,
Which is so
for people like me who are a lifetime fan.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful piece.
Yes.
That's
why
pretty
I
neat.
think that's going to be so cool is walking into that and seeing. I mean, the accordion that Mom Speer played. Or
Yeah,
the
and if
guitar.
you're any kind of
Yeah.
gospel music
Oh,
geek,
yeah.
that is going to be
It's-
a wonderful museum.
It is. There's
with
there's
some
really
inside
there's some really
pieces.
cool things, and I love that. What I love about, and I've told Jackie and the numerous people there, they really did want to pay homage and honor the Southern Gospel, which was where GMA started.
Yeah.
So and they really. Steve Gilreath has just been incredible with digging in and digging deep, and I love that.
I
Not
think-
afraid to ask questions.
I think Brock Speer, Brian's daddy, was an original member of the board of Gospel
Yep,
Music
I'm
Association.
fairly certain he was. Him
You
and
remember who the other board members were?
No.
They were, was it
James
John,
Black.
James Blackwood
Yep.
was
Yep.
John T. Benson
Yep.
was in there pretty early
Yep.
on.
Yep.
Then it was filled with names like Joe Mosqueo and just people that
Yep.
that we kind of grew up knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this was your father-in-law.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you didn't grow up in Southern gospel music.
I did not.
So get us to that point. So you've been a Spear for how many years?
35, almost 36.
Wow.
35 years. So that's your story now.
Oh, yeah,
You married into the
absolutely.
story, but 35 years
Absolutely.
buys you ownership.
Yes, it does. Yes.
So talk us through that.
You have to learn Heaven's Jubilee to marry
Yes.
into the family.
I love it. That's so funny.
I was from Central Kentucky, and I listened to WJMM out of Lexington, which was a contemporary station.
Yeah.
They played Reba,
Yeah,
Rambo.
yeah.
They played Stephanie Busada.
Oh, I
Remember
was
Stephanie?
a huge. We've talked about it. I was a
Yeah.
huge Stephanie Busada fan. Huge.
All of the contemporary people, Amy
Yeah.
Grant, Michael
Yep,
W.
yep,
Smith,
yep.
Stephen Curtis.
Probably Dallas Home.
Dallas
Yeah.
Home,
I know.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the music I kind of grew up on. And we didn't get Southern Gospel quartets around because
Yeah.
we had such a small, tiny little church in
Yeah.
my community. And we didn't go anywhere to listen to music like a lot of gospel music fans, can tell of their history. So when I met Brian Speer, I literally did not know who his mom and dad and family were. I was a lover of contemporary
Yeah,
music,
yeah.
and I met Squire Parsons because a pastor was going to have Squire, and he called me and he said, "I'd like for you to come, and Squire wants to take an intermission, and I want to keep people in there, so I want you to sing 3 songs while Squire takes a little
Incredible.
break."
I have never heard this. Oh my gosh.
And I sang my little songs. And I didn't even see Squire in there. He was invisible, and I did my thing. I met Squire. I left, and that was in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I had to drive 3 hours to get back home. And I never thought any more of it. It was just they gave me a nice little honorarium, and I went home and went back to work at the bank.
But Squire was in the audience when you sang.
Squire was in the audience, and at that time they had a board that could tune down or up just a smidge all of the tracks that were being played. During my performance, his sound man turned it down just a little bit to see if I would stay on pitch. And I stayed on pitch, and he turned it back up, and I stayed on pitch, and it was impressive to Squire.
Sure.
So
Okay.
he went back to
That's crazy.
North Carolina, to Boone, North Carolina, and told his booking agent, who was Maurice Templeton, who owned the Singing News magazine, who had all of the Christian cruises
Yeah.
with
Oh,
Dr.
yeah.
Stanley,
Oh, yeah.
the Singing at Sea, and all of those cruises. And the next week, I'm filing checks in the bank, in the bookkeeping department, and my boss comes and says, "You have a call, and you can take it right over here at her desk." So I went to her desk, and Maurice said, "I'm Maurice Templeton, and I want you to come to Boone, North Carolina. I want to meet you." And I said, "I don't know you. I'm not going anywhere."
Okay.
But didn't he ask if you and your mother or you and your...
Yes, he said, "Can you bring your parents with
Yeah.
you?" And I said, "Well, no, my parents work." And I said, "But I maybe could bring my grandmother." And we got in the car and we went to Boone, North Carolina, and met Maurice. And there he said, "I have a booking agency, and I want to put you on the road full time."
No.
He said, I said, "Well, I have a good job at the bank. I don't think that's possible." And he said, "How much do you make a week?" And at that time, I was making $150 a week. I was living with my grandmother, making $150 a week, paying for my own car and insurance. That was all I had to pay for. And he said, "If I can guarantee you $150 a week, will you go full time?" And that's a pretty easy take right there. I thought, well, sure.
Weren't you working part-time at a grocery store?
I was doing both. I was working at night at the grocery store and in the daytime at a bank. So it was just one of those easy things. I had a few tracks. I had Stephanie Busato's.
I was going to ask, do you remember what songs you sang at Squires? Was it real contemporary? Or was
Yes, it was one of Stephanie Busato's big hits. I can't remember the title.
Somewhere It's Snowing, I Know That I Know. I'd love
If you mentioned it, I would recognize it, but
Let
I can't
Your Faith
remember.
Do the Walking.
Let Your Faith.
Yes.
That's the one. And then I ended with Upon This Rock from Sandy.
Which is, I can hear you doing it too.
And, and so he put me on the road, and he put me on every Christian cruise that he was in charge of. Gosh. And that's where I really got a start in singing for churches.
There's a story somewhere, if I remember right.
He's old, folks.
The Maurice, and is he still alive?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's got to be, 90, early 90s?
Yeah, he's up there.
He's got to be up there.
Yeah.
But he would book people in churches, but then he would send a check.
He did that for me. I'm sure of it. Now, I didn't ever have proof of that, but there were times when I knew the church was handing me a check that Maurice had picked up before I even got there. Wow. He was that kind of fan and promoter of Christian music and gospel music. And Maurice was the kind of person that he loved the gospel and wanted to get the gospel out in every way possible. So that was just his way to do that.
Yeah.
It was...
Wow.
Do I remember that he may have been Squire's manager?
He was, yes, at one time, yeah.
Wow.
So when we just lost Squire recently, were you able to, I mean, he remembered obviously that initial connection. Did you stay close to the family through the years?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. Squire was one of the most generous-hearted people I've ever been around, not just financially, not with just support, but with his words. He was a very generous man. The very first cruise I went on, Squire and his wife made it a point to make me feel welcome and not leave me alone. Yeah. And I remember I lost my luggage on that, didn't get any clothes until Thursday of the week of the cruise. So his
you
wife
had something
went
to
around,
wear though, right?
I had one little outfit. It was hideous, but I wore it the whole time. His wife went around and asked ladies on the ship if they had something that I might wear for a day.
No.
And she helped me get some clothes, and then my luggage came in, and Maurice also gave me some money when we got to port and said, "Go get yourself something to wear." So
that's great. I never heard that.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I thought about doing this interview, and I thought I probably am the least with the least amount of stories that.
Oh no, you're not.
But
no.
Everything that I've ever had happen in my life is the result of some godly saint who just made it their mission in life to help other people and to give to young people. And it's a testimony of all of these people who have invested in me.
But it's also a testimony to your faithfulness to the call.
Yes. Yeah.
I did have a call.
And that's the foundation of all the other stories.
Yeah.
Did you start learning Southern gospel music at that point? Did you start studying it out a little bit?
Yes, because I was on the Singing at Sea and all the Southern gospel cruises. Maurice would put me on dates with the Kingsmen.
Yeah.
And I would get up and sing. Eldridge Fox produced my very first record, and we did some copies of Sandy Patty's hymns record. We did Amazing Grace and a couple of those big hymns. And so I got real close with the Kingsmen and did some dates with the Kingsmen, and they were always so generous to let me get up and sing a song in their set.
That's amazing.
Didn't Eldridge also produce Karen's first solo record?
He did on Cross, Horizon Records.
Yes.
I think it was Horizon back then.
Golly.
Yeah, you're right. He did.
One of the things that Maurice, there are a couple things that Maurice said to me that were priceless, invaluable little mantras that he would spout off. He would say, if you sing to the church, you'll always have a place to sing.
Which is so true.
And then there was an event I did in North Carolina, and Maurice came, and it was Eldridge Fox's church. And I got up and I said something between songs, and Maurice came to me and he said, "Don't talk, sing."
Wow.
And when he said that, he loved me so much, and he had done so very much to help me, that I knew that was good advice. And from that point on, from that day on, I began to study communication from the stage and what made it work and what didn't. And that's the reason
you've learned it well.
That's the reason I'm sold on great communicators. There's nothing like watching a live performance from a great communicator.
I totally agree. Yeah. Totally agree.
And when it's interesting, and there were a lot of you used to hear J.D. Sumner talk about they didn't come to hear me talk. And that was an older school way of thinking. And as you've done this, the more years you've done this, it's not that you don't talk, but I'll bet you're a whole lot more intentional about where to use that.
Absolutely. And nothing comes out without a great deal of scripting and editing.
Yeah.
So you don't just wing it.
No. Winging it causes train wrecks.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, I did too.
That's fascinating about, and you look at everybody that we've ever talked to in these 50 episodes. One of the things that comes up is just the power of relationships, and then not only that, but everybody's had a champion.
Yeah. Oh, always, yeah.
And the other common denominator is almost in every episode, from Dwayne Allen back to the very first interview with Reba, is, this person just happened to be there.
Yeah.
This just happened to happen. I remember a story I think I heard of yours somewhere along the way, and I didn't do any research on you because our friendship goes way back, but there's a story somewhere that you drove to one of your first concerts and the car broke down on the way.
That was to sing before Squire.
The catalytic converter went out or something. Somebody in the church fixed it while you were singing.
While I was singing, when Squire took a break, my car had broken down. I pulled into we had filling stations back then, and they would usually have a mechanic. And the mechanic said, "I'm going to unhook the muffler. You go on to Cincinnati and you can get it fixed later." So I was on borrowed time with that little car. I had worked an acre of tobacco in my hometown to buy that little car. It was a used car, and it was horrible. It spit oil everywhere all day long, every day. And it was gone when I pulled into the church. And the pastor heard the muffler and said, "We need to get that fixed before you go home." And he came and got the keys from me, and he had a guy in his church fix it while I was doing the concert.
Thought I remembered.
Wow.
And it was ready to go when I left.
Wow.
Just happened to be there.
Just happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
And those kind of stories, that's also a constant, is when you are faithful with the call.
Yes.
The things, that muffler would have gone out anyway.
Yeah.
The blessing of there's an old Joel Lindsay song, "The Grace of God Won't Lead You Where something won't meet you or something. But
Yeah.
that wherever we go, God's already there.
Right.
He's waiting on us.
Right.
Wow.
And the people of God are there.
Yeah.
And you never know. Some of the biggest times that I've been, the biggest events I've ever been on, I've always been kind of a little nervous. Well, so and so is going to be there, or so and so. I'm a little nervous about singing before them. It's never in those times that the Lord picks you up and takes you somewhere where He wants to. It's always in the place where you say, I don't know anybody that's here, and then something happens. The Lord just kind of preempts everything in your life.
Yeah.
You've got a song that years ago you did. I have no idea how many records ago it was, but it was called "In the Meantime."
Yeah.
And just even in the meantime, even in those in between times that you see God's hand at work.
Yes, I wrote that with Marsha Henry.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Marsha.
Yeah.
I know Marsha's story just enough to know where that probably came from.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a delight. Yeah, she latched onto that idea, and it's about Job. It's about the book of Job.
Which is it my imagination, or did you go to that well a few times to write about Job?
Oh, more than a few.
Okay,
hundreds.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
hundreds.
Yeah.
I started looking at the book of Job because I had a nephew get killed in a car wreck at 17 and a half. And he was raised by my brother, but he wasn't my brother's son. And his only wish for his 18th birthday was to go to the courthouse and have his name changed to my brother's last name, which was Durham.
Wow.
And he was killed 3 months before his 18th birthday. So it broke my family. It shook our faith and broke us. And everybody had always said the book of Job is about suffering. So I would turn to the book of Job, and I had to read it multiple times to begin to even understand it. And after probably 100, 150 times through it, I began to see that it's not about suffering. Job's whole story,
it's about grace.
It's about grace in the midst of suffering.
Yeah. That, and you don't get that on the first read.
Never.
So another interesting part of your story is you were, everybody that's been around Christian music at all, you love not knowing what I'm going to ask you, don't you? I can see that look in your eye. Where's he going with this?
Set up straight.
Everybody knows about the Gaither videos.
Yeah.
You were in the Gaither family performing before the videos.
Yeah.
That's a statement not many people can make.
No.
And it was dates back with the
old.
trio. Is that right?
Yes, it was. I was on trio and vocal band dates. Buddy Green was there.
Before he wrote "Married, Did You Know?"
Yes, Amy Ransom was there.
Yeah.
From time to time, Amy and I would switch out, and he would take either one of us. But it was Buddy, me, the vocal band, the trio, and every now and then Vestal would come out by herself and do a song or two.
Wow.
So it was interesting days back then. He
those
traveled
were
in two buses.
And those were the days where it's 10, 15, 20,000 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing some of those dates.
Yeah.
They were pretty
They were
monumental.
pretty neat.
Yeah,
And so
they
Gloria was an influence
Oh my
on
goodness.
you. Is that right?
Absolutely.
So
What a communicator.
Absolutely.
there's a funny story that I probably will regret telling, but Gaithers live right on the grounds in Alexandria that butts up next to a little Nazarene church.
Yes, right.
So, as you can imagine, I was very intimidated by a songwriter like Bill Gaither. So the Spears played there on a Sunday morning, and they walked in just during the first song, and so they sat in the back row.
Bill and Gloria walked
Bill and
in.
Gloria. So I'm playing guitar, and just absolutely terrified. So afterwards, they're going to have lunch in the fellowship hall, and so I'm walking over to there next to Gloria. I got nothing. I can't say anything.
This is Gloria Gaither.
Yes, and And so she says, they introduced me, and she said she didn't do any big nice greetings. She said, "Why weren't you smiling?"
That sounds just like her. You know, she'll ask that kind
If you think I had nothing before, now I'm really.
You really did.
And the only thing I could think to say was, I couldn't say it's because you're sitting out there. I said, which I believed, they didn't come to see me anyway. And her response to that was, let me give you some advice. The communication overall is only as good as the weakest link on the platform.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Those kind of things shake you to
They
your
do.
core.
They do.
But
you
You
knew.
figured it out. Yeah.
I could take you to where we were standing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. And she was spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was right.
Yep.
And it changed the trajectory going
Which
forward.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll see an artist, and it's a group, and somebody's doing a solo, and everybody else just kind of, and I think about, I know what Gloria would say.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk bad about your uncle, because he was like a second dad to me, but Ben Speer had a habit of clipping his fingernails
Oh my.
when Brock was talking.
No. Was it a part of the? I mean,
No.
He just would do it. No. Okay.
Am I telling the truth?
You're
If you
telling
heard that
the
before.
truth.
And it wasn't a part of. It wasn't him being
and
funny.
it would just infuriate the others.
Okay, that is absolutely hilarious. Oh my gosh. Okay, that is really funny.
So I didn't mean to get distracted
so
on that,
funny.
but I'm wondering, okay, if that one or two nuggets, and there were two or three of those over the years that they wouldn't remember saying.
Right.
What are some of those that Gloria left with you? Are there any that you go, I know what she would say to this day?
Gloria is so brilliant.
Yeah.
And she analyzes every situation to the hilt.
It's very uncomfortable to sit there with her and you talk. But when she asks you something, I think.
Because you think she's profiling you, and
Yeah.
she's one of the most gracious
Yes,
ladies.
she's such a mom.
Such a mom, and wants. But when you're sitting there, and I've been around a lot of famous people.
Yes.
You're thinking, she thinks I'm an idiot. She thinks I'm an idiot. And I probably
I thought
am.
I was the only one who thought that.
And it's brilliant. You're right. She has these incredible, like for her to say that to you is absolutely brilliant.
It is, yeah.
Because it's not cutting you down. It's just saying, you're a part of this.
No,
you're a part of this.
And
so
I needed to hear it. So she wasn't like a personal mentor to me like she was you. That's why I keep thinking, gosh, if she said that to a stranger.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there was nobody stranger than me back in those days.
I watched Gloria so many evenings come out and open up a folded piece of notebook paper and read off of it.
Yeah.
And I thought, she is not using that because she can't remember.
Right.
She's using that as a prop a lot of
Yep,
times.
you're right.
She may have what she's going to say written on it just to prompt her, but it also made her look like a teacher.
Yeah, exactly right.
And it was she wanted to get down on my level to do that. And when I began to watch her communicate and see her heart off of the bus and outside of the stage, all of a sudden I began to connect some dots because Gloria is an incessant reader and studier, not just of the Word of God, but she reads everything. And she pulls these giant theological ideas, these big Bible principles out of the air and reduces them to such a second grade level, loving God, loving each other.
You're exactly right.
And give it away. And
I am loved, I
I
can
am
risk
loved,
loving
which
you.
is one of the, I'm sorry, I'm not taking anything away from you. What a concept.
Oh, yeah.
The one who knows me best loves me most. who else could write? I
No,
could never.
I
I would. It would take me
More of you.
four notebooks to write that.
There's a quote, if I remember it right, that Bill said one time. He said, "There are not many geniuses in gospel music, but I'm married to one of them."
Yeah, no, that's true. The way she approaches
Yes, he's one too. But
he is. But Gloria
but
is
she
that
is-
when you think about Upon This Rock. She wrote the lyrics.
and
all
I've
of
just
it.
seen Jesus and
that's,
songs.
Yeah.
I then shall live.
Yeah, I mean her lyric. I remember you were talking about her communication skills. I would talk about this record for years. I loved the Gaithers now, but I was still a huge Rambo. I love that. I love the Gaithers, but there was a record called Live Across America, and she talks quite a bit on it. But one of the things she does is setting up a song was where she talked about how life was so busy, and she does this probably 90-second to a minute and a half. Now, we were flying through the airport, and she goes through all their things that they were doing every day, the kids. And Bill had to take Benji here to the school, and she's doing it really fast.
Yeah.
I tell people, I told every artist they should listen to this one record because she describes what it's like as a parent, as a wife, as a husband. For Bill was and then they're going to the doctor, and then they have to go over and pick up their school work, and then they have to go pick up their cleaning, and then she brings it in where she says, and then
But she made you feel
she
it
made
in this
you
hectic.
feel the hectic.
It was your story.
It was my story.
Yeah.
It was my story. And all of a sudden she turns around, and then you get home and you sit down. And your talk with the Lord. And I'm telling you what, it really impacted hearing it on a vinyl record in Portland, Oregon, thinking, oh my gosh, that's communication.
So, I know that's Gloria's story, and yet to me it's your story
Yes,
too,
it
because
is.
I've watched those same elements in what you do.
I think it's a direct copy of what I've
What you've
tried to
learned.
learn from
Sure.
Gloria. Writing out segues and things that I want to talk about, and having a point and having an ending, and and you really can't do that unless you have a fairly good understanding of the Bible.
Yes.
Which is since I went to the University of Kentucky and majored in horticulture, and I flunked out of my first horticulture class, and I think that was God saying,
Trying to spell it,
this
or
ain't
what?
gonna work. This ain't gonna work for you. And after that, I began to search for God, and I married into the Speer family, and Brock Speer was very educated. He had a master's of divinity from Vanderbilt.
Wow.
So he was very educated. He knew the Bible. Faye was a lover of the Word of God. She could talk with any scholar about the Lord. And I fell in love with education because of marrying into the Speer family, because they were educated. I wanted to understand some of the concepts and principles they were talking about. And I was singing at a real evangelism conference with Bailey Smith. And Bailey's son, Scott, was a good friend. And during that conference, we had dinner with all of the speakers and singers. And Scott said, "There's an empty chair by Jerry Falwell. Go sit in it." And I sat in it, and he walked over, put his hand on Jerry Falwell's shoulder and said, "Brother Jerry, this gal needs to go back to school, and she wants to do that." And Jerry Falwell looked up from his plate and said, "Well, maybe I can help you do that." And that's all he said. That's the last. And a couple of weeks later, I got a call from the registrar's office.
Oh my gosh.
And she said, "Dr. Falwell has given you a full scholarship to Liberty University."
That's where it goes.
Yeah.
Wow.
It just happened to be an empty chair there.
Wow.
An empty chair.
Just happened.
And it was Scott who prompted me.
Yeah.
The saints of God, directing other saints and giving and being
That's
generous
awesome.
to other saints. And when I started school, my rational brain said, you need to do something that's going to make you some money. But my heart said, you need to study every Bible class that you can take.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's what I did.
Wow.
And I will never regret it. And I loved every single class with passion. And
I enrolled as a first-time college freshman when I was 45, and that's what I got my degree in. And it took me 5 years. I got my bachelor's, but it was for the same reason. I felt like I've been writing all my life, but I never got to study it.
well, it took me about 14 years because I like to have fun more than I like to study.
I did too, but I was older.
Great. That's great. Oh, man.
Well, that's congratulations.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you. I would like to go back just because formal education is so beneficial, especially Bible education is so beneficial to.
Forces you to stay in the middle of it.
It forces you to collect thoughts and articulate them. And
So you talked about Danville, Kentucky, and you know another singer, Christian singers from Danville?
Yes, and as far as I'm concerned, the best singer in the world, Larnell Harris.
Larnell Harris.
That's right. Now, did you know him as you were growing up?
I knew of him.
Okay. Yeah.
Of him, and I knew his. I worked at the Winn-Dixie grocery store, so his daddy came in from time to time, and my boss would say, "That's Larnell Harris's daddy."
Isn't that so awesome?
So before
I
this
met
podcast
him.
started, we talked a little bit about a song called "I Can Begin
It's a
Again."
great song.
That was written about a story about Larnell's dad.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
wow.
and one of the most, we talk about Glory and what you learned from her about communication. And I've told you this story, I think, but one of the most powerful examples of what Glory and what you do is, yes, you rehearse the segues, but it sounded like it was
Right.
Yeah.
fresh. And that's the key most people don't get.
Yeah, you're right.
And so one of those moments when it was not rehearsed, but you had rehearsed communication to the point where you knew you could trust your instincts, involved Larnell, and it was at a morning chapel service at Estes Park, Colorado.
Oh my.
Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Do you remember what happened that morning?
No.
So Larnell was there.
Did he sing before?
He had sung before
or
you.
after? Yeah.
And you got up there.
Oh, I do remember.
And the track stopped. It didn't work.
No, it worked. I stopped it.
You stopped. Something happened.
I stopped it right in the middle.
And you said, "I'm scared to death because
Larnell Harris
is
there.
sitting."
I said, my lips are stuck to my teeth, and I
That's
can't
what it
sing
was.
like this. And at that point, the Estes Park audience, who is made up of musicians and artists who are thinking the same thing, who are feeling the same
tough
thing,
crowd. Yeah.
they began to cheer.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
They began to cheer, and at that point, I thought, okay, these are my peeps.
No,
this
because
is my family.
they all understood the feeling.
And the honesty of that.
Yes.
I wish I would have been there. Oh, my goodness.
But you got to be pretty sure of your
Yes.
instincts. That's right. I remember it stopping. I forgot you did stop it, but it was because you were nervous and you just owned it and you said it, and everybody in that room,
because they felt it before.
Sure.
They'd felt it before.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a wonderful place. I just had to figure that out.
Yeah.
It was a group of amazing,
But they
godly people.
They only brought
It just
in
took me that to figure that out.
They only brought in a Southern vocalist like once or twice a year.
Yeah.
It
was always
there.
contemporary. It was Okay, so I have a question that this is so good. So you're doing all this stuff. I want to know how you met Brian. At that point, when you started doing the Maurice Templeton stuff,
Yes.
at that point, you're probably getting familiar with the Spears.
Yeah, yes.
A
At that
little bit.
point, yes. I was on the Singing at Sea, maybe for the fourth or fifth time,
Yeah.
or one of those cruises.
Yeah.
It may not have been named that, but and Bill Traylor was there, and Maurice grabbed Bill Traylor's hand and said, "Come in here and listen to my girl." And he came in, and I did one song. I think it was the Florida Boys had allowed me to get up and do one song in their set, and Bill Traylor was sitting. I didn't know Bill Traylor from the other people on the ship. And after I sang, I had on a homemade dress that Miss Myrtle Belcher had made me because I didn't have shopping opportunities.
I love this.
He grabbed me and took me out in the hall. He said, "I want to introduce myself. I'm Bill Traylor, and I'd like to talk with you about doing a record on Homeland Records."
He just happened to be there.
He was just happened to be there. And I said, "Well, I have no idea, and what to tell you." And Maurice walked up, and Maurice said, "This is a good man. You can trust him." And Bill looked at me and said, "We don't even need a contract. If you want to make a record, I'll make a record with you."
Wow.
And my husband, who wasn't my husband, I didn't know him at the time, Bill went back to Nashville and met with his staff at the record company. And my husband is the one who said, "I don't think we should do a record on her because she's young and unmarried. She's going to get married and have babies and get off the road, and we're going to have wasted our money on an artist." And he tried to talk them out of it.
But he was the financial controller.
He was the financial guy,
Yeah.
right? And
Which I have heard those conversations before in meetings with new artists,
And
and
they're usually
especially
right.
female. That is so true. Okay, so that is
so
pretty
their
funny.
marketing director
Yeah.
was named Diane Bell.
Oh, she's precious,
precious,
Yes,
priceless
yes,
woman.
yes.
And Diane was a little bit mischievous.
Oh.
She grabbed me and pushed me in Brian's office and said, "He's single and he just bought a new condo. Go in there and court him."
Okay,
And she closed the door behind me and wouldn't let me out.
that is. I love Diane. That is so funny.
Isn't that
I haven't
great?
talked to her in years. That is a great story.
I was, he was a nice man. It was a funny incident.
Yeah.
And then when I began to make my record with Homeland, there were 3 days. The first day and the third day I was to record. The middle day I had free, and I was in a hotel. Bill Traylor went to my husband Brian and said, "I want you to take her out and make sure she's okay for the day." And Brian decided he wanted to go hiking, and we hiked through the woods. And you know what caught him? You know how I actually caught him? I put a hook in his mouth with doing this. I sat down on a rock, and it was so hot that day. I picked up water, and I washed my face, and all my makeup was off by then because, I was trying to be impressive. At this point, I don't care. I just want to go back to the hotel
That's exactly right.
And he thought, this girl is a country girl, and
That's funny.
I love her. So he chased me no, he didn't. That night he took me to his new condo and he tried to cook for me. And he made pizza out of biscuit dough.
Okay.
And it was
Mom and Dad's house that night.
Oh, we went to Brock and Faye's house. The pizza dough, I guess, came later.
That's funny.
We went to Brock and Faye's house, and Mark was there, and he was so skinny. He was pencil thin, and he ate more than any human I had ever seen eat in my life. And I'm from the country, so I know eating. And I fell in love with Brock and Faye because they didn't fight at the table. Like my parents did. They sat afterwards and drank coffee, and they talked about things. And it wasn't it was just life things. What you've done today. How's your job going? We're going to do this next
And it
week.
was
We have this
genuine.
trip. It was genuine, and they loved and enjoyed each other's company.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
And I fell in love with Brock and Faye, and how Brian was such a wonderful mix of the two of them.
Yeah.
There's so many things.
Some of you want to say no. You need to be nice.
That's so scary.
So right over your shoulder, I don't know if the camera shows it or not, but I talked years ago, about when I was a kid. I'd stand in line at the Spear family booth as a fan in Michigan to buy sheet music for $1, and Mark Spear sent me the sign that used to hang in the Spear family booth when I was a kid.
just think that's the coolest thing. Those are the kind of things. Yeah.
So let's talk about something that might I've never heard you talk about it, but I gotta feel like it's probably in there. You talked about growing up in contemporary music, not Southern gospel. All of a sudden you're out on this all these Southern gospel cruises. You're married into an iconic family who always had a ringer for a soprano.
Yeah.
That could not have been your dream to be that ringer in that family, was it? I'm assuming
No.
it was not.
No.
So was there ever any pressure that you felt from them or people around them for you to be that next Sue Chenault or
or whoever? Yeah, that's interesting. Did you ever want to do that? Did they ever approach you about it?
I think at some point I kind of coveted that position, but they always had such great singers. I didn't dare step in and act like I should be asked to do that. But Brock always said, "You're just way too expensive for us,"
which was true. I know what they paid.
Okay.
I think he understood that. Hey, they need some extra income, and
that's so funny.
They were incredibly supportive of everything that I ever tried to do. They're precious people.
I know. I love.
But were there? Did you ever feel like the expectation was it's inevitable that I'm going to be that for them at some point, or was that?
I never felt pressured into that. I think they understood that my heart was in the more contemporary side of music, so they never pressured me to be something that I wasn't. I think at one point I did covet that because I wanted to be with them. Not necessarily because I wanted that position as much as I wanted to be with them. I wanted to be a part of them.
I love that.
And Brian and I, since we married, we have always done dates together, and we've enjoyed that, and it's been our passion to do together. So I never really felt like that was put upon me or that I had to do that. That wasn't an accomplishment I had to make.
See, and you knew her as the Southern Gospel, Allison. I knew her as contemporary.
Interesting. Allison.
When I first met her, I remember because that Homeland record came out before the Star Song thing. I remember, but I never listened to it. Sorry. I just remember when Star Song Records had this promotion, Catch a Rising Star, and there was 3 hot new artists that Jackie Patillo, the president of GMA, had signed.
Yes.
Brian Barrett, was a young, hip kid, had kind of a country feel back before even country was big.
Came to write in a T-shirt.
Yes. And you had a husband and wife that was called Two Hearts. It was Michael and Carrie Hodge. It was real pop. And then you had Allison Speer. And I think it went by Allison Speer, if I remember right, on the record.
I think it did, yeah.
And
on
it didn't.
Star
Okay.
Song, that was
Okay.
where I lost the Spearman name.
It was
That's
Allison
what I was
Durham.
going to ask.
Allison Durham.
That's right.
Because
yeah.
Star Song said, we don't want
Yeah.
to introduce you as Southern Gospel.
Yeah, that's what I remember. I couldn't remember if it was both names, but I remember
Yeah.
it was more of a contemporary.
I think that was a bad decision because I lost a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
churches
Yeah.
because they thought I had divorced.
Yeah, isn't that
Wow.
interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had
Those
to.
are people that knew Brian, obviously.
That's funny. But I remember it was a
Yeah.
great record, and that's when then I started seeing her.
And the name of that first record on Star Song was
Walk into Freedom.
Okay, Walking to Freedom.
Yeah. And
That-
you had a song on it.
That you didn't know
I
who wrote
didn't.
it.
I didn't know.
Yeah, but that was a great record. But it was not only a name departure; it was a stylistic
Yeah.
departure,
Yeah.
intentionally. And then as I've been around enough artists, and Dusty, you have too. One record into that 3-record deal, they sell the company.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep,
they did.
yep.
They sold to an EMI. And EMI was not Christian back then, but they were.
They had
were,
Sparrow Records.
Yeah,
but
and then they bought Star Song.
Yeah, they bought
and,
Star Song and incorporated it all into it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah. Wow.
all of us were
Yeah.
out
Oh,
of
yeah.
out of a record then, and that was kind of tough because I felt like I was on the right path,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then all of a sudden the path is gone,
yeah.
and I had dropped the name. So now working with Gaither, I had to reestablish that.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I'm a
All
Spear
things
still.
out of your control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul Mills produced that record, who also produced the first record for Phillips, Craig and Dean,
He produced
Yeah.
Twyla Paris.
who was your label mates.
Yeah.
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 I loved Phillips, Craig and Dean. They were wonderful.
They still
Incredible.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they still are.
They're awesome.
They've recorded a few of his songs.
Yeah. And you know,
More than she has, I'll
I
say
think
that.
the song that you wrote was the biggest song off that record, Love Never Looked Like This. It went up to the top 10 in the CCM charts.
Did not realize that.
And that record got me on the Mouth in Motion tour with Mark Lowry.
Okay. And that was one of Mark's biggest
he wanted-
projects.
He
That's
wanted
still the
me.
funniest
It
name
is
for a
the
tour.
funniest.
He wanted that song to be sung every night when I went out.
Oh my
never heard
God! I'd
that.
never
Yeah.
heard that either.
So that got me the Mouth in Motion
Which
tour,
was which was a big tour for him. I mean,
Yeah,
that was
it
one
was
of
a
his
big
big.
tour.
It was where he did all of the songs that were. I Can Eat It All, which was Clay Cross,
Yes.
I Surrender All, Mouth in Motion, Heart in Motion by
Yeah.
Amy Grant. So I forgot that you were on that
And
tour.
a little side note to that, I had signed 2 writers. I actually signed 3 writers the same day. And one was a kid named, it was their first contract. One was a kid named David Moffat.
Okay, I know
One was
David, yeah.
a young writer named Lee Black. And another was a young kid named Travis Cottrell.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh!
That's a
wow.
good day for a
That's a
publisher.
great day for a publisher.
So
and they're all still
I
writing,
owned
Yep.
the publishing on I Surrender All.
which is a great
That
song.
David
Wow.
Moffat wrote for Clay Cross.
Yes,
So when Mark
Oh,
did
my
the parody,
you benefited from that as well.
I had dinner.
Yeah, I bet you did. I bet you. That is so
That interesting?
funny. Now, what's even funnier about that? This is why we love these stories. I was the sales rep marketing guy at Word for that record. There was a music buyer at Lifeway Christian stores named Tony Warren, and he wrote the parody I Can Eat It All. He wrote the
had
lyrics.
never heard that.
He wrote the lyrics to it, and Mark happened to come into the store, and he said, he heard he was doing, we didn't have social media. He gave the lyrics to Mark, and he took it.
Goodness
And
sake.
he was the music buyer. His name's Tony Warren,
And
he
Mark
wrote,
acted like he wrote it.
And Mark acted like he wrote it he may have spoke into it, but it was Tony Warren. Is that not funny?
That's great.
So anyway,
We love the backstory.
That's
Sorry.
so
There are always
true.
departures.
That's so true.
So we've been talking about your journey, and all these things just happened to happen. Somebody happened to be in the right place, and it's a story that is a common story, but you've had more than your share of confirmations that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. And we haven't really talked about this, but you've gotten there by a completely different way. You've done it as an independent artist for the bulk of your career.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, it's still working, right?
Yeah, it's still going.
So with that in mind, someone would have to think, if they're listening to this, she's got the highest level of self-confidence to think that she found a different path and it's still working. That's not the case.
No, it didn't.
So where was the point? And I say that because it's not the case for anybody.
No.
Whether it's me as a writer I've written all my life, but I still walk into a writer's room with people and know that they're a lot better than me, or I'm going to be slower than they are, and it's just a human thing. And I think everybody wrestles with it their own way.
Yeah.
We talked about you married into an educated family. I did too. That it wasn't them that made me feel that way. It's my own battle.
My own self, yeah.
So as you look back through the years, what's the turning point when you didn't necessarily even conquer it? Maybe you did, but bigger than that, you had to find some workarounds. You had to find some ways to work through it.
When I was young, there was a little lady who came to our church once a year to do revival music. Her name was Lois Jane Huddleston. And Lois Jane was always so pretty, and she had dark brown hair and dark eyes, and she always wore the most wonderful dresses and the most wonderful shoes, and she was just a little princess. And I always loved her. She was so genuine. And one day I had told Brian, I had said, how many months are we booked out? And he said, we have dates 19 months ahead. And I said, okay, don't book anything past that, because I'm done. I can't deal with the stage fright anymore. And it wasn't just... it wasn't panic attacks. It was when I would take the stage, I would have an overwhelming physical response to that fear that, and the adrenaline caused my voice to shut down. I would get significantly cold. My heart would race. My mouth would get dry. And for a singer, those are all bad news things. And I was done. There was no joy in doing it, because it was such a battle every night. And I had so many people say, well, just give it to the Lord. So I felt like I wasn't doing that right. I felt, I would pray, and then when I would go back out, it would hurt again, and I would be frightened again. So, logically, when you experience something that the Lord is not taking from you, and that thorn that you've begged him to take and he doesn't, either something's wrong with God or something's wrong with your own self. So I pointed everything back toward myself to be the cause of it all. That seems logical, but it ain't. And I was going through the 100 Oaks Mall one day. I was over there shopping and just walking, minding my own business. And I saw Miss Lois Jane Huddleston. And she was so pretty. And she wanted to know how we were doing and what was going on. Was I still singing? And I said, yes, I'm still singing, but I'm going to get off the road, because I can't handle the stage fright anymore. And she sat me down on a bench, and over the next few minutes, she began to talk to me about how I was approaching this stage fright. And at some point, she looked at me and she said, you know what your problem is? You don't love people.
Goodness sakes.
Wow.
And I thought, well, that's a crock.
Yeah.
Of course I do, And she said, you don't love people. And she said, I'm going to pray for you. And for the next 6 months, I want you to pray to the Lord that he would give you the love of his people like he has. And I want it to be sacrificial. And she said, I'm going to pray with you for 6 months. And I thought, well, okay, I'll do it. So I began to pray. And honestly, I believe that the intercession from her and my own prayer asking for help changed things. And I began to walk on stage, and for the first few songs I made feel terrible, but then I would remember Christ's love for me and Christ's love for the jewels that were sitting in the pews. And I began to view an audience as more than an audience. They were individuals who hurt just like I did, who needed just like I did, who were asking God for things just like I was. And I began to develop a love for God's people that literally didn't take the stage fright from me, but empowered me to fight through as a warrior would on the front line, knowing that Jesus loves them, I love them, and by the power of the Holy Spirit, I was going to be fine. And since then, I heard a pastor at Charles Novell School of Music give a devotion this last year. His name was John Groves. And he got up and talked about how he felt so inadequate to be a preacher or a singer. And he was comparing himself with so many other preachers and singers, and like we all do. And he said, what I was doing is I was looking at that other singer, and I was making their strength my weakness.
Wow.
So when we compare, we remove ourselves from the position of calling and anointing, and we make somebody else's strength our weakness. And thus we leave a weak link in the body of Christ. The Bible says that before we were formed in our mother, we were given gifts that we were to use. It doesn't say that we're going to be comfortable in those gifts at all times.
No.
It says we were given those gifts, and they're for a purpose. They're for his kingdom and the building of his kingdom and establishing that kingdom in other people, for making disciples. When we look at somebody and we compare what is the weakest part of us to what is the strongest of theirs, that's probably the most ungodly thing that we could possibly do. And in a world of American Idol, where you've got the big X button, I think a lot of kids these days are approaching the stage thinking they have to be perfect. They don't have to be perfect. They just have to be faithful. And when we compare our weaknesses to somebody else's strength, we're doing exactly what the third servant in the parable of the talents did. He said, I can't do what these first two servants did, so I'm going to bury my talent and just make sure it's there when the master comes back. I think what God wrote the Word of God for is to show us not so much how to have faith in Him, but that He has faith in us.
That's profound.
And At all times, God was reiterating, I will be with you. I will go before you. You can have faith in me.
Yeah.
And I'm now showing you, through my faithfulness to you, I'm showing you I have faith in you to walk in the gift that I'm giving you. And even if you have to face that stage fright or that comparing spirit, it all stems from a critical spirit, and you have to fight that every single day as an artist, especially because art is so objective. You have to fight that, and you have to be critical of your art. It's built into the nature of doing art. You have to look at it and be able to look at it objectively and critically and make it better. But we allow that to consume us and overtake us. And the one thing that I think probably I look back on every single time I take a stage is that day in the mall when she said, here's the task. This is the task. It's not about how good a job you do. It's about how you love them. And that changed my approach to my stage fright. It didn't remove it from me, because at times I don't have it, but at times I do. But it made me fight differently.
So for a question you didn't know was coming, that's a pretty profound answer.
Oh my gosh.
This is
one of my favorite brief lines that I use a lot. Is comparison is a thief of joy.
It really is.
And so many times we all, you as a writer, I'm sure, that's what I think if any, what Cindy as a teacher, Brian as an administrator and as guarding his wife and her precious gift, we all this person does this better than me with what I do. It just robs you. That speaks to me so much.
It's a clinic.
It's a clinic that we all need, and people listening to this. That's what we want. That's why we love to tell these stories, Allison, is what you've just shared.
This has been great today. We've loved having you here for a day, and you go back to Gravel Switch. They can find you at AllisonSpeer.com.
Right.
And if you are watching this and you don't know her heart by now, you have not been listening.
No.
It's the real deal.
It is.
And this just... Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you, Dave.
This is why
Thank you,
we love
Dusty.
to tell the stories.
And
there is a lot of other stories that we're told here that we cannot share, but I can't wait for you to hear them one of these days between Brian and Dave.
That will so be edited out.
No. Allison, you and Brian are just precious.
Well,
and
thank you.
I love this. This today has been one. It's been a great one.
I feel like you've got the next season is going to be your best
She's going to have a great new season.
Well, thank you.
Speak to the hearts of us.
Thank you. I've been knowing you, Dusty, for a long time and loving you for a long time.
This is very
I'll
exciting.
edit that out.
Of course he will. Of course he will.
I'm not saying anything about Dave. I'm just glad.